Okay, good evening everyone, and special welcome to those who joined us today. And some people were here with us since morning, and of course those who were here since Tuesday or Wednesday morning, they listened through pretty much most of the studies, benefited the most. And before I'll go to the subject of today, I want to do a quick review what we've studied throughout the week. If you remember, Brother Marcelo started with the reading verse from Genesis 2:18. And the Lord God said, "It is not good that the man should be alone." That was the first study, Tuesday evening. Then we were talking about the opportunities before unmarried young men, unmarried young ladies. And we discussed about how different God created man and a woman. And we discussed the differences. And we came to conclusion that there are no bad differences. Everything what the ladies have and everything what the males have, they need to be united to be completed. God on purpose created the difference in the way we perceive information, in the way we act, in the way we physically, anatomically, in emotional reactions, in everything. You remember we were talking about how ladies, young ladies and young men are different. So when a spark appears and you like her or she likes him, and the very first they begin to do first steps in approaching one towards another, she immediately starts dreaming of what? Marriage, family, children, stability, loyal husband, careful, caring, cheerful, and so on. We discussed the reality of usually what we as a man tend to dream of. That I don't have to picture that. Also, we discussed that no one is perfect. You remember, you had a challenge. From the list you see on the screen, pick one. So those who did not see, I'll give you a minute. Read through. Or I'll read out loud. For example, you find a person, she or he is honest, loyal, but stubborn. Rich, popular, but selfish. Respectful, romantic, but stingy. He will keep always 67 in the house in the winter and 80 in the summer because he's saving money. Loyal, caring, but messy. Hardworking, honest, but rude. High earning, always positive, but liar. Romantic, caring, but hypochondriac. Honest, loyal, but jealous. Good cook, respectful, loses temper. These lists were generated from the real people I met in my life, throughout my life. This is not made up. So in other words, you will not find a person without defects of character. Something in a bigger measure, something in a smaller measure, but they will have an issue. And we were talking that the question was raised, are you ready to deal with those issues? You remember, we were discussing, what is your minimum? Okay, number one, she and he has to be a God-fearing person, right? Then you had to narrow down your list of what you would like to see in a future spouse. And you had to cross one by one and leaving only the he or she must have. What is the most important for you? So, in other words, first of all, before even entering into dating someone, you must know, what do you want? What do you want in this life? What do you expect from a wife, a husband? Then, we were talking that you had to pick 3 defects. What you're ready to deal with, to cope with. Some people say, okay, I'm ready to deal with stubborn. Some people say, I'm okay with messy. Some people decided, I heard just comments, somebody says, I thought I can deal with a jealous husband. And then 3 things, at least, that he, she wants or likes in this life, matching yours. And we were talking, various illustrations that imagine that she likes adventures, camping, traveling, hiking, and he is colder, that he just, if he steps out, it's just a balcony. We were talking, Brother Marcelo was talking about the iceberg in the night. Marrying with people who are non-believers, for whom Jesus is not something sacred. They're not in love with God. They're not in love with the Word of God. Yet they swear they love us and they will be loyal till death puts us apart. Can we trust them? We learned that no, we cannot. Brother Marcel was talking about the unequally yoked. When people who, both God-fearing young man and God-fearing lady, but they just don't match. They get together, they marry, and what? They never divorce because they are God-fearing people, but they're not happy in marriage. Then we were talking about dating. Points to remember about dating. Dating is to discover his, her character, interests, plans for life. Dating is not a commitment yet. And because it's not a commitment yet, because it's something that you're just exploring, checking the waters, something that you want to learn about her, you are becoming a researcher, you're browsing, you're detective, you're collecting information like, a journalist, you're collecting information about her. She is a journalist towards you. She's collecting information about you, talking to a pastor from your church, talking to some people with whom you are in contact. Who is that guy? Can I trust him? What is his past? And if the dating doesn't work, so young people, Brother Marcelo, we're bringing here examples, so are you ready to move? Yes. Are you ready to give up that? No. Doesn't work. So if dating doesn't work, then you end it without sense of guilt or shame afterward, which implies that dating is not for hugging, kissing, walking, holding hands, no physical contact. Dating is not for that. Then we were talking about when is an appropriate time in your life to start dating. That the young affections should be restrained until the period arrives when sufficient age and experience will make it honorable and safe to unfetter them. So that was just a brief review. Now we are coming to the subject of today. What is love? A young sister asked older brother, what is love? And as they were talking in the family, so the girl, 12 years of age, asked, so what is love? And an older brother says, the love is that you long time ago found a place where I hide my chocolate, and you were stealing it for years. And for years I was placing it back in the very same place. That's how he explained love to his younger sister. So what is love? Is it a feeling? Is it an emotion? That is also. But it's not based on the emotions or feelings. It's very desirable that the love what you have before marriage and how it's accompanied with that bouquet of butterflies flying in your stomach and the sunshine in the night, in your room because she just sent you a text message. Those feelings and emotions, at least half of it, accompany your love, through your life. To best explain love, look at the cross. Love is a principle, a sense of duty, doing what you have to rather than what you feel to. One couple was celebrating their anniversary, golden wedding, 50 years living together. And she said, I always appreciated that those things, he said, I always appreciated that. But he said, can I, today, in our anniversary, have the core of the bread? And the wife made her eyes big. Says, of course, but all these years I was eating and giving you only the soft part because I thought that you don't like the core of the bread. Says, well, that's my favorite part, and I was always yielding it for you for all these years. So when we look at the cross, we understand that love is not just a feeling. It's not just an emotion. It's a principle which drives your life in marriage, in church, in relationship with brothers and sisters. Now, but since our subject is about courtship and marriage, we are going back to subject. Now, what if when you found your perfect match, those who were here all the week, you know what I'm talking about, perfect match. So she has or he has those minimum 3 that must have, right? Then you're ready to cope with those defects that she has. And you have interests in common. You both like something. You both plan for something, and it matches. You're not unequally yoked. So in the main points of life, planning for life, what you desire for your future, your career, your job, your business, how many children you want, so you match on that. But the moment you found your perfect match, what if she comes to a conclusion that you don't match her minimum? Do we have that happening? So what do you do? Question, what is love? I'll tell you my experience. When I was 17, I fell in love with a girl. She was kind of a girl that was not sure what she wanted. There was no really response. She was kind of neither letting me go, but not letting me in. That kind of a person. Of course, at 17 years old, I was blind. I did not understand that, just in this case, you have to run and go as soon as possible. But I was thinking that I will not have a happy life without her. I was absolutely convinced that she is the one. And in our church there was a brother that I always, as a young, unexperienced in life, saw myself superior to him. In education, in knowledge, in ability to preach in public, in singing in choir. He had hard time to match right notes. He was not a public speaker. He was introvert. So I saw always myself superior to him. And then, but we were in a good relationship. So the way I saw myself superior was just internal way I saw myself. And one day, he told me, "Do you love that girl?" I says, "I do." He says, "I don't think so." I says, How? Because if you love that girl, if you truly love that girl, you want her to be happy, not you. But she decides that she will be happy with the other guy. If you really love her, let her go and be happy with the other guy. I was astonished how profound that thought was. How much truth he concentrated in that one simple phrase: if you love her, let her go. Because if you love a person, you care if she or he is happy. But our human tendency, I want to be happy. I want her next to me, whatever it costs. If necessary to fight, I will fight, but I want her next to me. Now, another point what I wanted to cover in today's study. In the end, we have to finalize, we were talking about the dating, courtship, and so on. So what is the order of things? First, it begins with attraction, mutual attraction. Then setting in, and I'll talk a little bit more about each of these terms. And then you're facing reality. I'll explain in a minute. And then emotional intimacy. Then commitment. And then courtship. And then marriage. So, let's go one by one. First, attraction. First impressions. He, she looks very attractive. You like everything about him or her, the way she loves, the way she walks, the food she likes, you immediately begin to love that food. If she likes something, Asian food, immediately you become a fan of Asian food. It seems you have everything in common. That's first step, attraction. Then, setting in. The initial attraction grows stronger. You stop hiding your feelings. You start dating. You want to know who she is. You want to know who he is. And then a step of something realizing, something that you begin to discover. You both start to scan each other in a day-to-day life. You start questioning if this person is right for you. And suddenly you discover something that begins to bother you in her or in him. It's something you don't like about her, about him. On the other hand, you discover something positive that you wanted to see, and then, oh, she has that trait of character. Oh, he actually is better than I thought in this regard. In this phase has one question at stake. Do you find yourself getting more annoyed with it or accepting this person? So at this moment you decide either you go to the next step or it ends. If you decide to continue, then emotional intimacy. You feel safe with the person. You begin to share secrets, feelings, reveal something of your internal deep thoughts, desires, thoughts in regard to your future. You become emotionally attached one to another. And then comes commitment. You decide, I want to get old having her or him next to me. I want to keep this person in my life. It's time to say, I love you. Here many people do mistake. Before they even discover who he is, she is, they begin with the phrase, I love you. That's an absolutely worldly approach. We were talking about that dating in this world is absolutely of no biblical nature. People start dating in a high school, they date in college, have no marriage in their thoughts whatsoever. No. They're just dating for fun, dating for reputation, dating for, I don't know, to have someone whom you like to go out and eat a dinner. That's not the biblical dating. The dating is designed to discover who he is. And then after emotional attachments, when your plans match, you discover that she's the girl that I would like to spend time for the rest of my life. And you decide that, yes, I want to get old next to this man. Then you say, I love you. And then courtship begins. You begin to make concrete plans for your future life together. For example, she's still in a college, you already graduated, you have a job. But you have to go through, let's say, 3 years of internship. And you got a job, I don't know, somewhere in Seattle, and she's from Florida. You're beginning to make your plans. If we get married, when? Can you transfer your school to Seattle and finish there while I'm doing my internship? If not, what other solutions? So you begin to do a real plans for future. Time to take premarital counseling classes from a chosen pastor. That's time. And then it's at certain point in this phase of your relationship, you make a proposal. And you're engaged. And only after that, you're married. Now, we were talking about holding hands. I sent you a short article in the chat. Read it through. You'll find answers to a lot of questions in that regard, in regard kissing, hugging, and holding hands before marriage. But on this diagram, only after commitment you can have physical contacts, but not intimate contacts. You're not touching those parts of the body which covered with a cloth. Means these parts of the body, these parts of the body. You're holding hands. You are giving her a hug. She comes to you, she puts her head on your shoulder. You're committed, but not intimate contacts. Well, just read through that article. But when is appropriate time for that? Not while dating, but when you are committed. I hope that me and Brother Marcelo, we did our best to cover as many aspects of this subject as possible. Of course, there are way more things to be discussed in this regard. We cannot cover everything in 1 week. There are a lot of life situations. This is why exists counseling, premarital counseling. When you talk to a chosen pastor and you talk your case, your story, your situation. Because what we were talking here, we were generalizing. We were talking in general. It's recommended. It is recommended. This is what the Word of God suggests. This is what life recommends, a practical side of life. But there are always exceptions. There are always something that uniqueness. And therefore, I strongly recommend you that the sooner the better, when you begin to date, and when you see that, yes, it's beginning to work, and you think that you, even before you think, or maybe you're just considering that I think I can commit, talk to a local pastor. Ask people, experienced people in life, for advice. And of course, parents already implied from the step number 1, you don't start dating. We were talking about that. You do not start dating without permission of her parents, right? We discussed that. That is already understood. Parents are in the picture already. This is why, if you follow these steps with prayer and keeping your emotional drive under control, the bouquet of feelings, you restrain them and give space for wisdom and reasoning, you can be sure that God is leading you. We were talking about having sign from God. So when can we ask for a sign from God? When we did what is within the range of my abilities. So you took the messages to young people and you read the chapter, Choosing Partner for Life. You took Adventist Home and you studied the chapter, Finding Partner for Life. You talked to a pastor, you talked to parents, you talked to some other experienced people. You exercise your brain, you think, you analyze, you compare, you ask. And then, when you come to a conclusion, she is the one or he is the one, then you can ask, Lord, what do you think about this? Now, a question comes then, why should I need praying all this time if I decide on my own? Have you ever thought this question? Why you ask to pray, if you prayed 3 times, then you should pray 6 times a day when you're considering and dating someone. Why? If it's you have to decide, you have to think, you have to read, analyze, why you need to pray? What you are praying about? I like the song in the Reformation hymnal. There is a song, Lord, open my eyes that I may see. Exactly. That's what you have to pray about. Open my eyes that I may see. If you have any questions on this subject, submit them. and we'll talk on them on Sunday. We'll have an open conversation, question, answers. If you brave to ask that question, if it's a just general question that we somehow skipped or didn't have time to cover, just raise your hand and ask. If you think it's more sensitive question, then submit anonymously on that link what is in the chat. Now, let us sing another song and welcome the Sabbath day.